Therefore, I will just give over a little bit of the background behind the Rebbe's Torah, the way it's written. We know, as we just heard, the Rebbe put himself in his Torah. We know that the Rebbe Rashab, before his istalkus, before he passed away, he said, I'm going to heaven and I'm leaving for you my manuscripts, my writings, my Torah. And the Rebbe asked, why did he have to say it? Well, obviously, he's not taking it along with him. He's leaving it here, so why did he have to say it? And I'm leaving for you my manuscripts, my svarim. So the Rebbe said, he tried to tell us that even though you're in Himmel, he says, I'm going to heaven, which means I'm not physically going to be here with you. Yes, you will have me here physically through my svarim. I'm leaving the ksovim for you, but Mele, you have me, so really I didn't leave. So it's the Geya certainly now, after Gimel Tammuz, when we don't see the Rebbe Begashmi's, so certainly we have to connect to the Svarim of the Rebbe, which main sefer of the Rebbe is Likutei Sichos. And through that, we actually have the Rebbe. And I might venture to say that Likutei Sichos is now, always was, but after Gimel Tammuz even more, the heart of Lubavitch. That's the heart of Lubavitch. That's the heart, because that's what the Rebbe is. So I want to give a little bit of background concerning how it went. Because by the Rebbe, things were different than my all other Rebbeim. Our Rebbeim. I'm talking about the other Chassidus. Other Rebbeim, they all wrote, except the Alter Rebbe actually, they all wrote their own Torah. The Mamorim, they would say, they would write it down. And that's how we have their Torah. They would write it down, they would say the Maimon, people would chazer it, but then themselves would write it down, and that's how it was spread out, and that's how it was printed years later. But they wrote it themselves. The Rebbe did not write his own Torah. They wanted to, they hoped he would. They asked the Rebbe in the first years, and the Rebbe said he would like to, but he has no time. And there was no other Rebbe that had so much on his head, the Gashmias, and the possibility of working with so many things, with mesdes and letters, and things that no one could imagine. So the Rebbe, as much as he was beyond time, still he's in the Guf Gashmi, the physical body, so he couldn't do it. So the way the Rebbe's Torah went was like this. The Rebbe would fabring. Here we see a picture of a Fabrengen from the earlier years. The Rebbe would Fabreng. By the Fabrengens, he would speak for hours and hours. Throughout the years, there is a cheshbon, but I forgot the number, of how many tens of thousands of hours the Rebbe spoke. Tens of thousands of hours that the Rebbe spoke. And then what would happen after the Rebbe would speak? By Fabrengen, there would be Chazorah. Here you see a picture of Fabrengen, and the Rebbe is there, the Rebbe is speaking, and people are around, and people are listening. And you have people who were considered the Chayzerim. There was one person, he was the main one. We can't kid ourselves as much as we talk about this person a Chayzer, that person a Chayzer. The main Chayzer was Rabbi Yael Kanza, was ein gesund stark, he's 120, you see him in the picture there. And he used to sit down after the Fabrengen, and used to chazer over the Fabrengen, together with other people, but there are a few who were officially called the Chayzerim. He has a gewaldige memory, but more than that, besides his memory, which is more important, he has a gewaldige tfisa. Tfisa means a grasp. When you hear an Inyan, not only can you remember, you have somebody with a photographic memory, doesn't even know what it is, but he just remembers the words. He grasped the Inyan, the depth of the Inyan, the way the Rebbe said it. But mainly he sat down to Chazar. When he would sit down to Chazorah, then people would listen, sometimes people would correct him. I don't know if you noticed before, there's even in the middle of the Fabrengen, between the Siches, how many minutes were there when they were singing, so he would sometimes discuss and talk over certain things just to remember. If you see in this picture, it's hard to me, I can't even see it. You know, of course, you see Rabbi Yoel's there on the side, and he's talking to me, right there. Because this is between the Siches, so we would sometimes quietly go through a few nekudas just to remember. I look back now, and I wonder to myself, how is it possible to remember hours upon hours upon hours of the Rebbe's Fabrengens? The Rebbe would Fabreng sometimes 6, 7 hours, 8 hours. Out of the 8 hours, he would be talking 7 hours. How in the world do you remember what the Rebbe said 7 hours? Sometimes it was even more than that. If there were 2 days of Yontev or something, there were 2 Fabrengens in the day, or a Shabbos in the Yontev, there was no Chazorah in between. If the Kviyas of Simchas Torah was Thursday and Friday, there was a Fabrengen Thursday night, there was a Fabrengen Friday night, There was a Fabrengen Shabbos afternoon. There was a Fabrengen Motzei Shabbos, the big Fabrengen of Simchas Torah. You know how many hours the Rebbe spoke? And different Fabrenges? He spoke Thursday night for 4 hours, Friday night for 2 hours, Shabbos afternoon for 3 hours, and then Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, how much it could be. And later on, and there was no Chazorah in between. And later on, you would have to sit down and have Chazorah of all these Fabrenges, and not to mix up and confuse. It's so hard. And I look back sometimes now, I look at the Hanochas of those Fabrenges. Impossible, I don't know. It was a special kayal that the Rebbe gave. There is no question about it. I can't imagine how we could remember, and details and kashas and trutzim and going. There were so many yonim in the Rebbe's Fabrenges. Anyway, what the Seder used to be that after the Fabrengen, after Chazorah, we used to write in to the Rebbe shaylas on the Fabrengen. There was always questions, and the Rebbe encouraged it. The Rebbe said, if you have any questions on the Fabrengen, write me and I'll answer it. So we used to write in. Rabbi Yael was the main person again, but together we worked together, and we used to write in shaylas. I have to even tell you, I said this on one of the WhatsApp, that once when Rabbi Yael was in Yechidus, the Rebbe said to Rabbi Yael that you should know before you write in, you should discuss it with another person, other people, because, to make sure that you got it right. So he said, yeah, I do discuss it. So the Rebbe said, with who? So he said, with Leibel Shapiro. So the Rebbe started smiling, and he said, that's not what I mean. He's a Talmud of yours. Speak it over mit ha'ipche mistavrenik. No, that means somebody who, everything that you say, he says the opposite. When you speak to somebody like that, then he'll tell you the opposite, you'll work it out, it'll be much easier. So he used to write to the Rebbe shaylas, and the Rebbe would answer. Actually here, you have printed, copied on the table, one example of shaylas. I brought actually, here, if you want to see, maybe after someone wants, this is the original. This is the paper that was in the Rebbe's hands, it was given into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe here answered, you could see in your papers, this is the Rebbe's Ksav Yad Kodesh, the Rebbe answered it. This is the original. Actually, when I gave it to my son, Reb Nocha, before to make copies, he told me he'll take it because he went to the mikveh today. Because otherwise he wouldn't touch it. Because this is what was in the Rebbe's hands. And the Rebbe, when he would answer the shaylas, sometimes if he didn't feel the question was a good question, you should have known better, I can tell you had no rachmanis. Look at this. This is a copy. Look at the second page. Look what he writes on the bottom. Mavil, with two exclamation points. Mavil means outrageous. Harei mefurish. Isn't it clear? And he wrote on the word mefurish 3 lines. Mefurish. And actually this one happens to have a few of those. It wasn't always like that. But the Rebbe would answer the shaylas. Then people would get together and make a hanocha. The word hanocha means to put down. When you take the Rebbe's words and you put it down in writing, in Chassidim, in Lubavitch, I don't know if other Chassidim have that expression, it's called a hanocha. And it would say hanocha bilti mukeh. The Rebbe did not edit it. The Rebbe did not check it over to see if it's correct or not. But the Rebbe says he has no time to, not only to write it, he has no time to even look it over and to check it out, to see if it's correct. Write it, but make sure that you tell everybody that it's bilti mukeh, that it's not edited by the Rebbe. So if there's a mistake, it's a mistake of the people who wrote it. Because after all, it's all on the responsibility of the people who wrote it. Because first of all, maybe you didn't hear well. First of all, maybe you didn't understand well. Maybe you don't remember well. You never know. So it's hanocha bilti mukeh. But the sichas were written down hanocha. From time to time, the Rebbe would edit a sicha or two, sometimes for certain reasons. And the Rebbe came out with a special mitzvah, and he wanted it to be clear for people, so he would ask that this piece should be written up in a way that he should be magia. The Rebbe was magia, checked it out, edited it, and it went out. From time to time, but not on a steady basis. Till it came to the year Tovshin Yudches. The Rebbe wanted everybody should go to the different shuls to chazer words of Chassidus, and they wrote to the Rebbe that it's very hard. So they asked the Rebbe if the Rebbe would check over a sicha, not from what he said that Shabbos. They would find a sicha from a year, 2, 3 before, give it into the Rebbe, let the Rebbe check it over to see if this is right the way it's written. That's when it started, they gave it to the Rebbe for 1 year. That's Tovshin Yudches. That's 1958. Starting from Shmuel, Parsha Bamidbar. For a whole year, they would give it every Shabbos. Before Shabbos, the Rebbe would check it over and give it out. And every week it came out as a kuntris. A kuntris, which is a little pamphlet of the sichos. Those sichos from that year, at the end of the year, were put into a sefer. And that's when it got the name Likutei Sichos. And the sefer, Chaylik Aleph and Chaylik Beis, the first two volumes of Likutei Sichos came from those sichos. Then the Rebbe stopped doing Magira. Then came, a few years later, Tovshin Chov Gimel, 1963. Again, every Shabbos, they gave before Shabbos.